Every empire, at some point, believes it can create a new monetary order. But as time goes on, most face the same truth: you cannot create money, money moves according to its own rules. The false promises of politicians are barely noticed. Money has its own laws, laws that no one can interfere with, yet everyone must pay the price for. These laws are written nowhere, and taught nowhere. For centuries, economies have swum in debt crises, lost their value, and then regained it again. And if you don't understand these laws, you will never realize why the game has always felt rigged against you. So let's talk about some of those forgotten laws. Let's start from Rome and travel to today's digital currencies, and see why the game has never been fair from the very beginning. Gresham's law: bad money drives out good. In the 1500s, a man named Thomas Gresham told Queen Elizabeth, "Bad money drives out good." Think of it like this. Suppose there are two types of money in circulation, one strong and trustworthy, the other debased and hollow. What do people do? Of course, they try to get rid of the bad money and hold on to the good one. That's exactly what happened in Rome. When people realized silver coins were being mixed with cheaper metals, they paid their taxes with the debased coins and hoarded the real silver ones. And what happened in the end? Faith in the economy eroded. This cycle repeated itself again and again. In the Middle Ages, rulers cut and clipped coins, replaced gold with copper, but the result never changed. Whenever rulers tampered with money, the people found a way around it. Tiers law: in crisis, it reverses. Sometimes, things get so bad that even this system breaks down. In the 19th century, Adolphe Thiers noticed something new. In times of real crisis, good money drives out bad. Take Germany in the 1920s, for example. Inflation was so high that people's salaries lost value within days. As soon as they were paid, they rushed to spend the money before it lost half its value. People turned to dollars, gold, cigarettes, even barter, anything that held real value. The same thing happened in Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Gresham describes slow decay. Thiers describes sudden death. The Cantillon effect: why inflation always feels unfair. But what if the system isn't collapsing yet, just beginning to rot? That's when the Cantillon effect comes into play. In the 1700s, Richard Cantillon realized this. When new money enters the system, it doesn't spread evenly. At first, it's the politicians, banks, and the wealthy who get access to it. By the time it reaches the ordinary people, prices have already gone up. So the rich buy things cheaply, while the poor struggle with inflated prices. That's why printing money enriches Wall Street but keeps your salary stagnant. After the 2008 crisis, the stock market soared, but wages didn't. Because that's how the wheel turns. Inflation isn't just rising prices, it's a hidden transfer of wealth. And sadly, the winners are never the people, but the rulers. Financial repression: the silent robbery. After World War II, governments were drowning in debt. Raising taxes risked revolts, canceling debts risked collapse of confidence. So they found another way. They trapped citizens within the system, and slowly devalued their money. How? They kept interest rates low, even below inflation. Year after year, people's savings quietly lost value. At the same time, capital controls prevented smart investments. The result? The people grew poorer, while the state paid its debts through inflation. After 2008, this story repeated itself. Rates dropped near zero, housing and stocks soared, the rich gained, the savers lost. And most never even realized why. The Triffin paradox, the reserve currency trap. Now, let's move to the global stage. In the 1960s, Robert Triffin stood before the U.S. Congress and said, "If the dollar is to be the world's reserve currency, America must always run deficits. Because for the world to use dollars, the U.S. has to keep sending them abroad. In other words, America must borrow to finance the world. It works in the short term, but rots the system in the long run. When Nixon ended the gold standard in 1971, Triffin was proven right. Today, the US is buried in debt, yet the dollar remains strong. That's the curse of Triffin. To be a reserve currency means to weaken your own economy from within. Goodhart's law, when numbers corrupt reality. Economists love numbers. 2% inflation, 5% unemployment, 3% growth. But Charles Goodhart warned. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Central banks manipulate markets, adjust interest rates, and print money to hit these targets. On paper, everything looks stable. But in real life, the cost of living, housing, education, and healthcare spiral out of control. The numbers whisper peace, reality screams otherwise. The law of diminishing returns on debt, more debt, less benefit. At first, debt fuels growth. But over time, each new dollar of debt yields less and less. $1 of debt brings $1 of growth. Then 50 cents, then 25, then almost nothing. That's exactly where we are now. U.S. debt has surpassed $30 trillion. New borrowing keeps the system alive, but no longer creates real growth. Rome, France, Britain, they all collapsed at this same point. Debt buys time, not salvation. The forgotten laws of money. Money is not magic. It obeys laws as strict as gravity. Bad money drives out good. In crisis, good money survives. New money enriches the rich and crushes the poor. The state can rob you silently. Reserve currencies rot empires from within. Trying to control numbers distorts reality. And in the end, debt drowns everyone. If you don't know these laws, you'll never understand why the system always feels rigged against you. Because the game was never designed for the people to win.